Welcome back, everybody, to Chick Chat. Today's guest I'm very excited about. Today I have June Edward. She is a platform psychic medium. She passed to the other side at the age of 27 and came back here by choice. She has worked on missing person cases, as well as consulted with many well-known paranormal groups and authors. She is an author and teacher of psychic and mediumship development. She created the Relationship Mastery Program, which teaches people how to change their energy, learn their 5 love lessons, repair their relationships, and magnetize anyone or anything into their lives. I've read her book and I am so excited to interview her. So join me in welcoming June. Hi, June. Nice to have you.
Hi, thank you for having me.
I am so excited because I have always been so intrigued by this. I've been told forever that I have some psychic ability, and things have happened to show me that, but I have no idea how to really handle it or do anything with it. So very excited. So tell me, let's start, I think, with what happened at age 27, if that's a good place to start, or you pick where.
So let me back up just a tad
Yes.
because everyone has psychic ability. You're born with it. It's that knowing.
Yes.
It's thinking about somebody and all of a sudden they either show up or they call you. Because thoughts are things. Where your thoughts go, your energy flows. So it's kind of like playing a piano. Some people sit down and all they do is play chopsticks. Other people want to learn a little bit and they might teach themselves a couple of songs. Other people want to do it for a living and they can become a concert pianist. And then you have somebody like me who's like the 6-year-old prodigy that sits down and plays Mozart.
Wow.
But everyone has the ability. So it's a matter of what you'd like to do with it, just so you know.
That's great. No, that's interesting. And I have heard that, and reading your book, and I did realize too, which I've heard before, that, we are kind of, between the water that we drink, the fluoride we use in our toothpaste, etc.
A lot of people have the pineal gland blocked, but a lot of people, you're here living a 3D experience. Okay. Mm-hmm. It's like a movie. You're an actor in a play and you have a brain in your head. Most people.
Yes,
so your brain has a very specific job. It's a computer that helps process all your information. That's what it is. But its specific job is to protect you. How does it do that? It does it by creating fear. So people make their decisions based on fear. And a great example of this was my 93-year-old father before he passed. He had been sick in bed with cancer for a while and thought it was a big joke about me coming out as a medium and doing the work that I do. And I went up to see him one day and he's like, I want to talk to you about what it is that you do. And I'm like, oh, really? What do you want to know? And he says, well, I want to know why for the last couple of months, I wake up and every morning I see my mother standing next to the bed. I said, well, it's about time, Dad. I said, she's been here for about a year. I said, she's going to help you transition and go to heaven when you go to the other side. He goes, well, what I really want to know is how come she disappears after I wake up? She's there for a couple of seconds and she disappears. I said, she didn't disappear, Dad. She's still here. I can see her. I said, what happens is once you wake up, your brain kicks in and your brain cannot fathom that she's really standing there. So you block it. That's what happens.
Wow. And you had seen her all the time standing there whenever you were there. Right.
Exactly.
Interesting. That's amazing.
She's still there. Yeah.
So how do you have this amazing skill? How did you find out?
So, I was born with a lot of ability. My first experience was about the age of 3.
Oh, wow.
And I remember waking up and hearing someone call my name, thinking it was my parents. I went into their room and they were asleep. So I went back to bed. And as I'm lying there in bed, I'm seeing faces all around my room. And it was really scary. I pulled the covers up over my face. And as the sun started to come up, they had come over to the bed and I could see the shadow like almost in my face. It was very frightening as a child.
Do they look like people or more ghost-like? How did it look like to you?
Little both. Some are ghoulish looking. Mm-hmm. I mean, now when I see them, mostly they look full formed like a human being. Usually I can tell it's a spirit. Sometimes I can't. Sometimes, they look like you or I. But then if I'm looking at them and I'm contemplating, are you a spirit or are you not? They notice me and they're like, oh, you can see me. And they get very angry because I'm not working. And I let them know I'm not working right now.
Wow.
I
Okay.
had it happen in a grocery store, and the guy was near the entrance, and he looked like was a drug addict or an alcoholic when he died. And I'm looking because it looked kind of weird, and I wasn't sure if he was real or not. And he spotted me, same thing. You can see me. And I'm like, listen, I'm not working. He got mad. He goes, you talk to me. You can see me. And he picked up a package of hot dog rolls or hamburger rolls that were at a display at the door, and he threw them at me. Well, it only went about 3 feet, but the poor girl at the register saw it. And she's like, oh my God, did you just see that hot dog package fly off the shelf? And I'm like, yep. And I just kept walking.
Oh my God, that's crazy. Wow. Oh my goodness.
But I see energy. I've always been able to see energy. I mean, if I look very closely, I can literally see the wind. I could do that when I was a kid. And I don't know if it has to do with the shape of my eye, the vibration of my soul. I'm not sure what it is. I mean, colors don't exist, right? Here I am wearing orange. Color doesn't exist. We only see it because of the shape of our eye. You have people that are colorblind.
Oh, really?
They can't see the colors because
Huh.
they're colorblind. The shape of their eye doesn't show it. Dogs can't see color because of the shape of their eye, but they can see energy. Sometimes he will spot the energy, something that's wandered into my house or come into my house before I spot it. As I'm picking up on the energy before I even do anything else. So a lot of it has to do with the shape of your eye, I think.
Okay.
And then picking up that single signal that goes back and forth with the pineal gland, because that is... It's like a walnut-sized gland that's lodged between the lobes of your brain, and it's filled with a clear liquid. And they found that the cells in there are the same as your eyes. That's why it's called the third eye.
Oh, that is so interesting.
Yep.
Yes.
But it's like a reflecting pool of fluid. So when the energy comes in, it forms pictures there.
Wow.
And so this is how you get transmissions, like radio. You know, you're picking up with the crystals in a radio transmission. Same thing.
Okay.
This is how a lot of people pick up the messages, telepathic messages.
And do they firmly see that visual thing, or is it like
you can? Yeah,
you can.
I mean, lots of people's abilities are a little bit differently. Some people see, some people smell, some people hear. You know, clairvoyance, audio. You know, I have to sit and think all the names of them now.
Right.
But you know, or tasting, smelling it, whatever. So it's really a matter of what senses you're using to pick up from the other side. So it's a progression too when you first start out. When I first started out, I wouldn't hear them as often. And then I realized some of them are just very talkative from the other side. Some of them can't shut up. I just let them talk through me.
So that was probably how they were when they were here.
Most likely.
The chatty souls. Yeah.
Most likely. And some of them are just all about, you know, they don't talk. They just are all about the symbols and showing you different symbols and things, you know.
Okay. So as a child, you first saw that. How did you learn what it was you were seeing without being so afraid of it?
So when I got a little, you know, when I get into school and stuff, I would tell all the kids stuff that was going to happen before it happened, and I would get labeled a freak. So I stopped doing that. And I was a nervous wreck. You know, I would bite my nails, and I had all kinds of twitches, and I would stutter. Yeah. It was a mess.
Wow.
And when I was 10, my dad actually kidnapped the youngest 5 of us and moved us away. And at night I would have to do the dishes after dinner, and there would be a woman in her 40s that would stand there and keep me company and talk to me while I did the dishes, which I was appreciative.
Yeah. And you didn't know who she was.
I thought everybody saw her. I mean, you know, one day I asked my older brother who she was, you know, and he starts laughing and he says, oh, she's the woman that used to live in the house. Her husband killed her. He threw her down the stairs, which he did, which is, you know, I hated to go in the basement there.
Right.
And it scared me so much that she didn't come back. She must have felt it.
Was it her? I mean, how did he know that?
Yeah.
He did know about that story. So he
knew. Yeah. So he knew it. He figured it had to be her, and I'm sure it was. Yeah.
Wow. And he didn't see her though.
No, he didn't see.
Yeah, he just knew what you were talking about.
But I didn't know that. I thought he did.
Yeah, you're right.
Everybody saw her, you know.
Right. So you kind of just sort of it became apparent to you that nobody was seeing them but you. Okay.
And then I tried to block the abilities because I was afraid of my abilities. But if someone died, they would still come to me. And the next morning, even if it was just somebody that was an acquaintance of, you know, somebody in the family, and I'd get up the next morning and I'd be like, hey, you know, John Smith died last night. No way, I just saw him 2 days ago. I'm like telling you, he died last night. Sure enough, they would check and the guy died. Yeah.
So did your parents then start to believe that you had it, or your dad still was not, he was skeptical?
So my mom apparently was a medium, which I
Okay.
did not know. And when my
Interesting.
dad kidnapped us, he told us that our mom was crazy.
Oh,
Yeah.
interesting. Yes.
And I didn't see her for probably another 11 years, and I invited her to my wedding. And she came, and she was excited to come, but she was still, she felt guilty. She felt, she stayed away for many, many,
Yeah.
many years until
Wow.
I was probably about 35.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
And did she ever speak to you about her abilities, or?
Not too much until she got older. I took care of her when she was dying. She died. So my parents died both at the same age, the same day, 1 year apart.
Oh,
Yeah.
gosh.
Yeah.
Wow.
Can't make it up.
Wow. Who passed first then? Your mom
My
passed first? Your
my
dad
father did a year before my mother.
Mm-hmm.
And so someone kept visiting my mom when she was in the nursing home, and she knew it was her dad, but she didn't know who it was. So when I got there to visit her, I called him in and found out, because she always knew that she was adopted. She just felt it. Her soul just knew always that she was adopted, that her mother was not her mother.
Really? And her parents hadn't told her that. It was just something she knew.
Right. Yeah.
Wow.
She just felt it. She was, her mother always treated her different, give her siblings hugs and kisses, and just very cold to her. She just felt it. She just knew it. So the guy that was coming to visit her in the nursing home, the soul, she knew it was her dad. It was her uncle. So her uncle was really her father.
Oh my.
She was born in the 1920s, 1924 or 25. And back then they kept things quiet and then tried to keep the baby in the family. So her aunt adopted her as her mother. So she knew her aunt as her mother instead of her aunt.
Oh, I see. Okay.
And her uncle was really her father, not her. Yeah.
Interesting.
He was really her uncle and her father.
Right.
But her mother was the butcher's daughter that lived across the town. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And she only saw her twice when she was alive. And both times that she saw her, the woman would run into the back room and hide and would not come back out. Yeah.
Wow. Interesting.
Yeah, her father would take her, for whatever reason, took her to the butcher shop twice. And I don't know if he was going to try to introduce her or what he was going to try to do.
Was he not with the aunt anymore, or the mother?
So they were brother and sister. Aunt
Oh,
and uncle.
wow. Oh, dear. Yeah. Okay. Got it. That kind. Not through marriage.
Married.
Okay. Got it.
No, aunt and uncle see. Yeah.
Oh, my. Yeah. Wow.
So at least I was lucky. We sorted it out before she passed.
Yeah.
And what was interesting the night she was dying is they were all arguing on the other side who was going to bring her through. Her real mother, her adopted mother, her father. Yeah, they were all arguing about who was going to bring her through.
Oh, my goodness.
When she finally passed, they all came through to bring her in.
Did they? Oh, nice. Yeah. So when you know that you see them arguing, you hear them arguing, how does that kind of manifest? Both. Wow. It's got to be distracting to live life with that going on as well, isn't it?
Not really. I was trained really well. I spent 1.5 years in training before I did anything, and I can turn it on and off like a light switch for the most part.
Wow.
So because I was in the room with my mom passing, I was paying attention to everything that was happening.
Yeah, that makes sense, right?
Yeah.
So at what age did you go to train and really embrace this
was
gift?
Only 10 years ago that my gift really opened up again. I died at 27, you would think, and came back here by choice. You would think that would be the point in life that, oh my God, they'd open right up, right? No.
Right.
Instead, I was afraid of my ability, but I was very curious. Yes. So I started getting interested in the paranormal, and I was going on haunted vacations. So I slept on the Queen Mary. I did the haunted tour there twice. I went to the Wally House, Alcatraz prison, you name it, I went there. In fact, I stayed one night in a haunted Airbnb in Martha's Vineyard. And I had a choice. There was one that had a little girl ghost in it, and there was another one that had a woman that would stay up all night and talk to you. And I'm like, no, I'll go for the little girl ghost.
Yeah. Okay. Oh my gosh. Wow. So when you started doing this, well, let's back up for a minute. You mentioned 27. So let's just chat about that for a minute and then get right back into your gift. At 27, share with us. I did read about it, but share with
Yes.
everybody what happened to you at 27.
So I had injured my back when I was 22. And I put the surgery off as long as I could because I just knew that if I had surgery, I was going to die. And it got to the
Wow.
point that I had no choice but to have the surgery. And, before I went in, I told everybody, I said, listen, I think I'm going to, oh, no, you're fine. You're just afraid. I said, I'm
Yeah.
telling you, I know. And sure enough, I didn't die during the surgery. The night before the surgery, they did an MRI test with a contrast dye. And I told them that I thought I was allergic to it. I'd had it once before and I had a very bad reaction to it. And they're like, oh, it's no problem. Everybody has that reaction. It's not a big deal. I'm like, okay. And as soon as they administered it, I coded and I died. And I
Wow.
never heard of an NDE at that point. And they call it an NDE, a near-death experience. Scientists coined that term because they haven't been able to quantify it yet. But I died, and that's what I always called it. I died. It was a death experience.
Yeah.
And what I learned since is that everybody's are very similar and everyone's are a little different. So some people see this big tunnel of light they go into. I did not. I was immediately taken to the other side. Was it beautiful? Was it amazing? It's more a feeling than anything else. And I used to say that the only two things you take with you is your knowledge and love. But what I've learned since doing this work, you take all of your feelings with you, all of them. So I've brought through people from the other side that is still sitting there in anger, hate, remorse. You take all of them. And for me, I was just bathed in love. It was amazing. And less than 10% of the people that have an NDE make it to the level that I made it to, which is the fifth dimension. It's the lowest level of heaven. And even less have a full life review. I had a full life review. And that was literally like sitting in the front row of an IMAX theater and watching the movie play out.
That's
and
amazing. Everybody talks about that, and you think, well, your life's going to flash before your eyes.
I read Akashic Records, which is everyone's book of life.
Yes.
And the first time I made it to the Akashic Record room, same thing. They handed me a book and put me in a side room, and I opened it up, and it was the same thing. The same as when I died. It was an IMAX movie playing out in front of me. I'm like, this is just incredible.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I heard a voice behind me saying, it's not really your time. You can stay if you want to, or you can go back. It's your choice. And then I remembered that I still had 2 young children here, and they were the biggest reason that I reincarnated and came back this time, and that I needed to be here for them, and that they brought me the biggest joy in my life. And I hadn't had my 3rd child yet.
Wow. So you still had a whole lot ahead of you. Yes.
Yeah. So, and doing the work I do now, I laugh. I'm like, you guys knew I was coming back.
Probably.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
So, okay. So after that, though, you still didn't really embrace it.
I just got interested. I was still fearful of my abilities. And it wasn't until about 10 years ago, I was going through another divorce and I was losing my businesses that I'd worked very hard for. And my parents were dying. And
horrible time.
I went to have some Reiki done, some energy work. And she recommended that I meditate. And I'm like everybody else, I can't meditate. I can't shut my brain off. I'm running 5 businesses, getting divorced.
That's what everybody says. Yes.
I went home and tried it. And as soon as I tried it, it was like they kicked the door into the other side. They're like, she's ready. That's it. And I went to work the next day. I got up in the morning and there's like 30 souls around my bed again. And I went to work that day. And the first person that came in, I was doing medical aesthetics at the time. I'm like, did your aunt just die? And she's like, yeah, how'd you know? And I'm like, I have no idea how I know that. I'm like, did you just clean her house out? She goes, yeah, last weekend. I'm like, oh. Did you find one of those monkey sock puppets from the 1950s? How random is that, right? She's
Very
like, yeah,
random.
we found one in the attic. I'm like, oh my God.
Unbelievable.
Oh my God. And it just continued. Everybody that came to me. And then I started seeing full figure apparitions on the 3rd one. Her deceased husband followed her into the room. I'm like, oh my God. Oh my God. I was freaking out. I was calling everybody I could think of. Help me. I need to shut this off. And everybody's like, well, I don't know what to do. I don't have that kind of ability. I don't know. I'm like, what the hell? You said you're a medium? Why do you mean you don't have this kind of ability? What the hell?
Yeah, what do? They just have it on all the time? Or?
No, they don't have the ability that I have. It's that simple.
Yeah.
They just,
yeah,
they're working really
Exactly.
hard to try to get messages, and it's like I can't shut it off.
Exactly, right. Wow.
So I honestly, I attribute it literally, though, to having died, because my abilities are 1,000 times stronger than when I was a kid. And if you think
Really?
of
Okay.
quantum physics and the speed of light, it's almost 300 million miles a second. So when my soul, which is pure energy, went to the other side at that speed, that is a very high vibration. This is why they can move so quickly.
Right.
And when I came back into my body at that speed, that's just incredible. So my vibration is automatically much higher than most people's. And
Wow,
I can go
that's
back and forth
interesting.
from the fifth dimension at will. Very easy. I
From
connect
what
in
I
seconds.
understood from your book, and let's just share with everybody listening, but is that the fifth dimension is the lowest kind of level of heaven,
Correct.
right? And that the fourth is dreaming,
Correct.
and that we live in the third.
Correct.
Is that basically okay?
It is, yeah. And if you're not paying attention and I'm trying to give you messages in this realm, then when you go to sleep at night, your vibration actually rises. So your soul is way too big for your body. Some of it's in your body. Some of it is over your body, which people can see and call an aura. And the majority of your soul is in that fifth dimension, and it orchestrates the timing of the events that happen in this life. And it also has the knowledge of all your lives. So when you meditate and you get in touch with your soul, you're not just getting in touch with the soul that's inside your body. You're getting in touch with the majority of your soul that has all that information on the other side. So people that meditate, they'll find after that their ears start ringing. Well, that's literally a download to your brain. Your brain's a computer. They're giving you information. And then you'll suddenly start to know things that you don't know how you know it or where it came from. That's how that
Interesting,
works.
yes.
But
okay.
if they can't talk to you here because you're not paying attention, when your vibration rises at night and you go to sleep, they will visit you. And they'll lower their vibration and come down. And you know it's a visit, not a dream, because it feels real. You wake up immediately when you're done and you remember everything. That is a visit.
That is a visit. Oh, that's where usually a dream, you don't wake up right away and you don't remember it much. Is that what?
Right. It's very foggy when you wake up. You might remember a few pieces of it, but not a lot. No. And it didn't really feel real.
Yeah.
Yeah. This feels like they're right there.
Oh, yeah, it does. Right. Yeah. I used to say when my mom passed away like 2 years ago, we were very, very close. Absolute, my best friend for my life. And, since then, the dreams, I mean, she visits all the time, but I see things during the day all the time that
they're right there with you. When you don't have a body, picture it. Okay. Picture it. You're sitting here right now. Okay. And all of a sudden your body disappears, but you're still sitting here. This is what it's like.
That is what it is. Okay.
And if they don't go into the light, they're stuck here and they move at the same speed as a human being that has a body. They have the same vibration. They can't move 300 million miles a second because they haven't gone into the light. So if they want to get around, they're going to hitchhike in your car. They're going to walk. That's what they do. You just can't. I mean, if people saw what I saw, it would be like an episode of The Walking Dead. Literally.
Really? Is that what you see? Oh my gosh.
So many everywhere you go. And they congregate because we're like magnets. We're always either retracting or repelling at any given time. And the spirits on the other side do the same thing. They attract each other. So if you've got a spirit in your house, I guarantee you've got more than one because they gather. They find each other. Just like they find me. It's like a beacon. They can feel that energy that I can,
so they go
I'm emitting that higher vibration. So it calls them in basically. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
So do you see any spirits around me right now? In this little frame?
I can only see a little frame.
I know. Just thought I'd ask for the heck of it. That is interesting. Yeah, it would be overwhelming, I would think.
It would be.
Turn it off.
It happens to a lot of people. A lot of people that have a lot of ability, if they don't know how to turn it on or off or get help, they end up self-medicating. They become alcoholics and drug addicts, bottom line.
Do they?
Because you go crazy. I have people contact me constantly with the same thing that I went through. I don't know what's happening. I'm suddenly seeing stuff in my house. I'm hearing voices. I don't know how to stop it, blah, blah, blah. Hence, my first book, A Night on the Other Side, is everything that I used to teach in psychic development and mediumship development. So the first thing I direct people to do, get the book, read the book, keep the book like a Bible. When you get a question, go back to the book, follow the book exactly.
Wow. Now, do you teach people then how to kind of get more in touch with their psychic ability?
So I have a relationship mastery program that's a 7-week online program that teaches people how to get in touch with their soul, how to change their energy, how to raise their vibration, how the law of attraction works, and how to balance it so you can maintain it. And when you do that, you look at your life from a different perspective, from a much higher perspective, and
Mm-hmm.
everything in your life changes. Remember, for a
Really?
reaction doesn't equal a greater reaction. And when
Right.
you change, everything around you changes. Everything.
Yeah. Wow.
And so people in relationships, because we're magnets, you've brought the people that are into your life are on the same frequency as you. Just like a radio station. You can't get the station in unless you're on the right frequency, right? It's the same
Okay.
thing. All your friends, all,
Hmm.
the people that you congregate with and you spend your time with, your intimate partner, they're all on the same frequency as you. So now if you raise your vibration and you raise your frequency, they're either going to balance and come up with you or they're going to drop off. One or the other.
Interesting. Yes.
One or the
Okay.
other.
Hmm.
Most likely, most of the time, if it's an intimate relationship, their vibration will rise and balance with you if you're supposed to stay together. And if you're
Right.
not supposed to stay together, you'll know it from your soul. I don't let people make decisions from their head, because when you're making that decision in fear, it's a crapshoot. It's 50-50 crapshoot. Sometimes
Yep.
it's right,
Yep.
sometimes it's wrong, and you're always going to question yourself.
Yep.
Once you learn how to get in touch with your soul, that's a knowing. You just know
Yes.
you're supposed to
Right.
do it. It works out 100% of the time, and that's
Yep.
the point in time they make their decisions.
Right. I've always said that. Yeah, your intuition knows everything. You just have to hear
That's your
that
soul.
quiet
Yep.
voice, which is your soul. Yes.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So tell us a little about some of the things you have, experienced, or some of the things that you have seen. And then I'd also love for you to talk about the 3 different types of relationships and the 5 different
Sure. So
love
let's talk
lessons.
about that a little bit first. So the 3
Okay.
different types of relationships, then most people are going to have multiple. The first one is a karmic relationship. And for
Hmm.
people that don't know what karma is when you've done something wrong to someone else in this lifetime. You do not have remorse and you do not make amends. You now owe that person in another lifetime when they decide to come back and collect it. Okay.
Hmm.
Karma is not necessarily a bad thing. Everything that is going on in your life, you planned, first of all, and nothing is being done to you. It's being done for you. Always for your highest and best. We're here to help each other, not hurt each other, even
Hmm.
when it comes to karma. Okay? So if you stole money from someone in a past lifetime, they're not just going to come back and steal money from you here. They'll probably end up being your boss and teaching you the value of money and that you have to work for it. It's that type of a
I
thing.
see. Hmm.
Okay? So it's a karmic relationship and it's only here to teach you a lesson or you teach them. It's a karmic relationship because it never feels right. It always feels
Hmm.
like there's something missing or you're looking over your shoulder or what are the red flags? That's
Oh
a
my
karmic
gosh.
relationship.
Yes. So
And
lots of the people I dated
yes,
after my divorce are probably
exactly.
landing right in
Exactly.
there.
Yep.
Okay.
And as soon as one or the other learn the lesson that you're there to learn or teach, that relationship ends immediately. It's like
Hmm.
you wake up in the morning and you're like, why do I have this person in my life? That's it. And if you both learn the lesson, it ends amicably. If only one or the other has learned the lesson, it ends, but it's not going to be amicable.
Wow. That says
Then
a
you
lot
have,
right
and some
there.
people are
Okay.
stubborn. I mean, the universe wants you to think you have choice, right? But the only choice you really have in this life is whether or not to keep delaying the lessons you're supposed to learn. And you can roll them over to your next lifetime if you want. So the universe is going to offer you door 1, 2, and 3. Most people take door 1, they go through it, they get married, they have a couple of kids, they get divorced, they're in front of door 1, 2, and 3 again. Creatures of habit. Take door
Right.
1 a
Oh, I
second
know.
time. Go
Yes. There
through
we
it,
go.
get married, have more kids, get divorced again. Well, if you
Yeah.
learn the lesson you were supposed to learn, you're not going to take door 1 again. You're going to take door 2 or door 3. And you may still get married and have more children, but it's not going to end in divorce the way the other 2 did because you learned that lesson.
Absolutely.
Okay?
Yes, absolutely. And I think that's kind of why I got so intrigued by all of this years ago. I mean, decades ago, really, because of that, having
Yeah.
seen that and then realizing, what am I repeating? I mean, it starts out when you have an issue going on and then you start, evaluating what is happening and why do I keep repeating my mistakes. And that's kind of what led
Exactly.
me to learn that.
And some people are
Yeah.
stubborn. I mean, I was
Yes.
stubborn. I stayed in a karmic relationship for almost 20 years. I was very stubborn.
Okay, right.
So, you know, it all happens for a reason, the bottom line. So then you have soulmate relationships. And a soulmate relationship is also there for you to learn something or teach something, but it's also there to afford you some love and comfort at the same time. And it's a soulmate relationship. You'll know it is because it's really comfortable. It feels like you've known them a long time. You click right away. And it's an easy going for the most part. Okay.
Right. It's sort of smooth sailing.
It is.
Right.
And so a soulmate relationship does not necessarily have to end after you've learned the lessons. It really depends on what you've written into your life plan at that point in time. Okay?
And when do you write your life plan?
You write it before you come here.
Yeah.
It's a long process on the other side to write your plan. It's big time because when you look at all the people that you interact with in this lifetime, all the people that you owe something to karmically or they owe you, there's a lot to it. And everybody has to be ready and willing and to come back and play their role. It's like a big movie script is all it is.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
And then you have twin flame relationships, which are extremely rare. There's way too much information around the internet about them. Some people are trying to tell everybody that everyone has one. No, they don't. And it's not like The Notebook. It's not this wildly romantic relationship. So a twin flame is specifically one soul that splits into two before they reincarnate into two separate bodies. They will meet at some point that has been predetermined in your life. And when that happens, it throws your whole life upside down and puts you on the path that you're supposed to be on. Now, they are always extremely sexual, extremely psychic, extremely passionate, and they are extremely short. They last from a few days to a few months, and that's it. And when it's over, it's like a ghosting, except you still have this major psychic connection going on that you can't break. And it's torturous. Yes. And, you know, you literally, the experience that you have with it, it's called a Kundalini awakening. So for me, literally, my soul went immediately right back up. And he was the reason that my abilities opened up again for me. So that was his reason for coming into my life at that time. Right. He was what projected me into what I do. And, you know, if both of you are able to learn the 5 lessons you're supposed to learn and get on your path in life, then you'll have an opportunity to reconnect in this lifetime. Most don't. Most of them can't even learn the 5 lessons, let alone get on their path. And twin flames have a higher calling than most people. They're here literally to do something that's going to help humanity. So most don't get back together. Not until they're on the other side again.
Right. Okay.
And then you have the 5 lessons that we have to learn, which are challenging for everyone. The first one is self-worth. And self-worth is not value. Value is what other people place on you. Self-worth is the understanding that you are so important. You are the only one of you in the entire universe. And they decided they needed you here. Even if you're a twin, you have different thoughts, different desires, and different fingerprints. So it's also understanding that although society would like you to think it is narcissistic and selfish to put yourself first, it is not. It is where everything else begins. If you cannot put yourself first and take care of you, you're not going to be here to take care of anybody else, are you? Right. It's that simple. And it's also understanding that no one has the power over you to make you anything. I can't make you happy. I can't make you sad. I can't make you love me. I can't make you hate me. That's all on you. And I always see people, when this happens, I'll be happy. When this happens, no. You need to be happy long before that. And then when you are, that vibration will end up attracting the person that's supposed to be with you. That's how that works.
Right. Okay.
Then you have trust and communication. You have to first trust that there is a higher power. And it doesn't matter what you call it, Allah, Buddha, Krishna, God. There is only one when you get to the other side. That's it. One. There's 1,760 recognized religions in this country alone. They're all right
Wow.
and they're all wrong. There is
Yeah.
one.
Right.
And you have to trust that. And you have to trust that you created the plan. So whatever's going on in your life, you planned it that way this time around for whatever reason. And hindsight is a wonderful thing, right? Hindsight's 2020. We can always look back and see how the breadcrumbs in your life brought you to the next thing and the next thing and the next thing, and brought you to where you are right now, which is exactly where you're supposed to be at any given time. No matter
Okay.
what you think you could have changed in the past, trust me, it
Right.
wouldn't have happened. And if
Okay.
you're that stubborn and can't get on your path, then the universe will step in and make you get on your path. It's that simple. And you're not going to like how it does it, because it's going to give you a
Right.
big push.
Exactly. Okay.
And you have to be able to communicate your wants and needs to the people that are in your life, whether it's a significant other, whether it's a family member, a friend, a boss, an employee. You have to be able to communicate your needs. And you have to trust and communicate to that one person that's in your life, because sex is nothing more than another form of communication. And if you can't communicate and trust outside the bedroom, you're not going to be able to do it inside the bedroom.
Right.
Then you have unconditional love. And it is exactly that, unconditional love, which means you don't play the martyr and stay in a relationship and say, oh, I've got to stay with this guy even though he beats me every other week because I'm supposed to unconditionally love him. That's not unconditional love. That's where self-worth kicks back in, because each of the lessons will keep reinforcing the previous lessons. It's saying, listen, we had a good run. I really want the best for you and me, but this isn't working. We need to go our separate ways. It's not bad-mouthing them when you turn around. It's really wanting the best for them. Mm-hmm. Suppose you had a child that you loved dearly and they did something horrific, like murdering a neighbor in a fit of rage, and they went to prison for the rest of their life. You don't like what the child did, but hopefully you're going to still love your child.
Exactly.
Okay.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And we can take it one step forward, because I've got people, oh, those are conditions. You were with that person and this is your child. Well, let's take it one step forward, because if you cannot learn it that way, the universe is going to make it even tougher for you. Suppose a drunk driver takes your child. Well, your child had that written in his plan. He knew he wasn't going to stay that long and he's in a better place. But are you going to spend the rest of your life letting that hate eat you up? Because it's not affecting the person that caused the death of your child, right?
Right.
You need to trust that whatever's happening in their life, it's their lesson. Let it go and know that, everything happens the way it's supposed to.
Right.
Unconditional love. It's not always easy to practice. Then you have money and balance. And what people don't understand is that money is energy. That's why it's called currency. And everything in the universe has to stay in balance. This is why we have night and day, good and evil, left and right. And everything has to be an even and equal exchange of energy. Okay. You don't walk in and pay $1 million for a gallon of milk. Not yet. It's an equal exchange of energy. Okay. When I first started my relationship mastery program, I actually gave it to a couple of veterans at no charge, because, they were crying the blues about how they didn't have anything. And, neither one of them did the program. It had no value to them, because there was no equal exchange of energy there.
Exactly. I know.
There has to be an equal exchange of energy in everything. And then it's what we use in this 3D world to highlight whether or not your energy in your life is in balance. So if you're working 80 hours a week and you're just saving your money, your whole life's out of balance. You've got no time for your friends, your family, your hobbies. And then if you're just hoarding your money, you don't have enough self-worth to spend the fruits of your labor on yourself.
Right.
So everything's completely out of balance. Because it's energy, people have to understand that money has to ebb and flow. It comes and goes. What you put out comes back. The universe will never let you live in lack. It will never let you want. You have to trust that. It will make sure you have everything you need. Even if you're a beggar on the street, because that's the role you chose to play, and you really want a warm bed tonight and a meal because it's going to be 20 below, all you have to do is ask, and someone will point you in the direction of a church or an open house or somewhere that you can receive it. You have to do your part. There is self-responsibility there. You can't sit on your couch and say, oh, I want to meet the man of my dreams and hope it's going to be the mailman or the UPS guy. Once you put it out there, you've got to do your due diligence and go out there so the universe can have you connect. So there's always self-responsibility in there. And then the last lesson that we all have to learn is patience. And again, we live in a world of instant gratification. Yes. Everyone wants things now or yesterday.
Yep, they do.
And it doesn't work that way. How ridiculous would it be if every little 5-year-old girl that wants to get married and have babies, the stork starts delivering them, right?
Yeah.
A little inappropriate. Yeah.
Right,
It
right.
happens when it's supposed to. And if you're in your 30s and your biological clock is ticking and you haven't got married, you don't have kids yet, it's because you planned it that way. And it doesn't mean that it's never going to happen still. Maybe when you're 50, you're going to marry a widow and raise his kids. Who knows? You don't know. You have to trust the plan that you made the plan. You did it
Wow.
for a reason.
Yeah, that one's hard to get your head around, right? Because people want to blame everybody else. But if you know that this was your plan, that you're,
You
supposed to
made
be
it.
on.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And if you knew everything that was going to happen in your life, trust me, you wouldn't get out of bed in the morning. You'd be bored to death. You really would be.
Yeah, yeah, that is true. So what can people do to start kind of either hearing those voices more, from spirits, or being more in their intuition? What are your
So
recommendations
again, I'm
for
going to
that?
recommend my first book, A Night on the Other Side, and I'm going to
Okay.
recommend that everyone learn how to meditate. And most people do not meditate properly, and most people that teach it don't teach it properly. So it's in my book. Read it verbatim until you've memorized it. When you open yourself up to the universe, you're opening yourself up to good and evil, and you have to remember that. And the war that's going on in this world is all about good and evil. And the
It
prize
is,
is
isn't
your
it?
soul. The prize is your
Yeah.
soul. The devil wants your soul. God wants your soul. That is the war. That's
And
what
that's
it
the
boils
war.
down
Now,
to.
when you say that, just so we're clear, it's the current war that we're in. And
It's
why
not
has
political. It plays out
escalated?
well because it's out of balance. It's been out of balance for
How
hundreds of
long would you?
years.
Okay.
It's probably been hundreds of years. It's been out of balance and getting worse. And everything, the pendulum has to swing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it will come back into balance. But we've been in a war for, people don't even realize, it's been probably, I don't know, 80, 90, 70, 80 years. We've been in this war already. It hasn't ended. It's been ongoing.
Right.
And the devil has been building, bottom line, because people were not aware. And there's rules on the other side, just as there are here. For instance, if you want an angel to help you, you have to ask. They were never human. Their entire existence is to help us. If you want the help, you have to ask. They cannot intervene otherwise. The devil has to tell you what he's doing. If you don't believe it, that's on you. If you pay attention to everything going on, the devil has to tell you what he's doing before he does it. Whether it's in movies from Hollywood, because most of them are demonic, whether it's in the
Yes.
music you're listening to, because it's the same issue. Most of those
Right.
people have soul contracts. They've sold their soul to the devil.
How does that work? What is a soul contract exactly?
So
I have read about it, but it wasn't
it's
described
literally
clearly.
a piece of paper, because you're
Yeah,
living in a 3D
really.
world. It's literally a piece of paper that says, anything that you want in this world, the universe and God will give you. But it will come in the time that it's supposed to happen. The devil sits on your shoulder and says, I can give it to you a lot faster.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
And
I think
can
people
that
are
contract be broken? Yes. I have, I do have some connections to celebrities in Hollywood and things like that. And yes, a soul connection can be broken, but it takes a lot. It takes a lot. And when they do that, they're going to become even more of a target of the demons and then the people that have sold their soul, because
wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
they'll just be attacked that much more.
So what we do hear about Hollywood probably is very true. I mean, I keep hearing more about it. I think more people are starting to become aware of
There's something called cognitive dissonance, and it's,
Yes.
you believe what you've been taught to believe or what you experience. Okay. So it's just like people say to me, oh, how do you know there's a God? You can't, how do you know there's angels? I see them. I've been there. I died. I went to heaven. Did I believe it beforehand? Probably not. I always believed there was a higher power, but I thought saints were a big joke. I thought angels were like made up fairies. I didn't believe
Right.
any of that. I did not. And now that I see them and talk to them and learn from them, they are all real. There is a hierarchy on the other side, the same as there is here. And everyone has a purpose, because whether you have a body or not, this is what gives your soul fulfillment, is having a purpose on both sides. Okay. And until people experience something different, if they can't break through that cognitive dissonance and understand that they've been brainwashed their whole life, they've been taught to believe stuff that is not necessarily true, and learn how to do their own research. And most people don't know how to do that.
They don't. They
just, they call TV programming for a reason. You sit in front of them mindless and you're being programmed. They're programming your brain.
Yep.
That's what it is. Yeah, I mean, it's entertainment once in a while, but the reality of it is, it's just like these video games. These people sit there and they get addicted to them, and that's all they do.
Yes.
And it's so your brain is a computer, and all they've done is fill their computer with junk.
Right.
Think about it.
Exactly.
Everybody
No, it's
has
very true.
computers, right? And if you're downloading all this crap off the internet, all of a sudden what happens? Your computer crashes, right?
Yep,
Your brain
exactly.
is no different. And it's a file system. It keeps dumping stuff to the back, to the back, to the back. At some point in time, your brain's going to crash if you can't actually
Right.
filter through.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. And I think you're right. People just kind of absorb whatever the media tells them, whatever they see on TV,
They
whatever.
don't
And there's
think.
no research
And they live in the
thinking.
drama, again,
Mhm.
this is a movie. You're an actor in a play. Literally, you're an actor in a play. You're here to play a role. It's like you reincarnate every lifetime as men or women. You bring through traits from every lifetime. I came through many lifetimes. I brought through a lot of male characteristics. So in my relationships, I was the first one to pick up a hammer. I built my house.
Did you?
But
Wow.
by doing that, I took away the role that my husband was supposed to be playing. I took away his opportunity to be the man. You don't need me to do that. You can do that, which being the role, if I'm playing the female, I have to give him the opportunity to play the role as a man,
We talk about that a lot in this kind of community, this sisterhood. I'm an architect. I don't know if you knew that, but I'm an architect by trade, and I still am. This is kind of what I do on the side, but just really the women empowerment and really trying to get to what our purpose is and how to transition through all the chapters of our life, etc.
Yeah. I mean, so there's ways to do it, and there's ways to do it without demasculating the person that's in your life that has a role to play as well.
Always. Yes. Because I've seen it it's such a male dominated industry still. It's only 17% of us are women in it. And, but you realize soon that, there is this feminine and masculine energies, and you do need to leave room for the man in your life to have that masculinity. Otherwise, and I think we have messed that up as a society pretty badly right now. I think
like I said, everything, the whole. So when you get rid of the family and you break that down, it's easier to pick people off. Okay.
Absolutely.
And that's what the devil does. He just picks them off. Okay.
Yes.
You have no unity at that point.
It does. When you say it like that, it's exactly what's playing out. You're right. Yeah, absolutely. So when do you feel like we're going to get back in balance? What year?
I believe that 2025 is going to be a wonderful year, and things are going to progress from there. It's also the age of Aquarius just started.
Oh, really? Oh, okay. And what will that?
Everybody remembers that song, right?
That we remember the song,
Aquarius.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, it's going to be amazing. It's really going to be. It's going to be, and it's already starting a mass awakening. I mean, again, we're in a war. There's going to. I mean, the devil wanted 50 million people left on the face of the earth. 50 million out of what? 6 billion. That's a lot of death, and a lot of people are dying. Bottom line, and people are going to continue. I mean, their eyes are closed. Oh, I don't know what it is. Must be, if it's not the food, okay, then it's the medication and jabs they're giving you, or it's it's viruses that they're creating. But one way or another, they're going to try to kill you. Why do you think they all just built bunkers underground? This is not the first time. If you go back in society, thousands of years ago, they built bunkers on cities underground. Same thing.
Yep. No, and you just kind of have to wait for people to wake up. I mean, I understand it. It's sort of like I've been in the know of that for quite a while. My husband really has. He's a Marine, and he's just very intrigued by all of it. And he kind of saw it coming way before I even saw it. But there's been so many families ripped apart by it. I mean, I know for me, my brother and sister don't talk to me because they just don't they completely disagree. They are not awake yet, and it's and I think that divisiveness is cutting through so much.
And that's the game, divide and conquer.
Yep.
That's the playbook, divide and conquer. And it starts with the families. I mean, my advertising was taken off of Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn,
seriously,
Instagram, going back 5 years. I've been banned on all of them because I was, for a year and a half, I was running videos on relationships and reconcile your relationship, right? And teaching you about a higher
power. So just
power.
because of that, that's crazy. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, they actually wouldn't tell me why. They just violated.
Right.
They violated all their Then
Exactly.
Google just came out with 6 pages of things that you cannot say when you advertise. Lawyers can't say, "Do you need a divorce attorney?" Doctors can't say, "Are you facing mental illness challenges?" You cannot ask
Really?
anyone any questions anymore. Nope.
Oh my
Nope. You
goodness.
can't ask. Just
Yeah.
like the old suicide hotline. Are you depressed? And so you can't ask that. Cannot ask that on Google. No.
Wow. That's amazing. I didn't know that. Yeah, it's becoming frightening.
Yeah, well, they don't
But I
want
guess
anyone
to
helping anyone else. And we're
right.
here to help each other. So people really need to pull this together. They really do. Connect, stay together.
Mhm.
Yeah, they
Mhm.
really need to do that.
Now, share with me a little if you could. So when someone passes to the other side, so I've heard like, so do they stay around for a while? Do they leave? Do they constantly? Do you
Well, it
have
really
to
depends. I mean, I've never seen anybody not at their own funeral, to tell you the truth.
really?
Yeah, oh God, yeah. It's very amusing. They want to see who shows up. Yeah. Yeah, but
I'm sure my mom did that. I
there's a
know she
lot
would
of
have
other
wanted to
people
know.
stuck. Like if if you don't go into a wake in a funeral parlor, oh my God, there's hundreds of people hanging around there that are dead, that have followed their body there, didn't realize they're dead, or don't know where to go from there. Same thing in a hospital and a nursing home, everywhere. There are a lot of them. Souls that are just kind of lost, roaming around all over the place. If
So they
they
have not crossed over
They
yet
have
or
not gone into the light.
okay.
Those people have
Okay.
not gone into the light. Absolutely not. And when I encounter them, I do try to move them into the light.
Yeah.
Um, so those people hang around. Then you have, the people that just passed, like your mom. I'm
Mhm.
sure you were devastated.
Oh
And when
God.
you're devastated, they can't go anywhere. I guarantee you, because they live vicariously through us. She would have been pinned to your side for the
Yeah.
longest time until you were able to start getting over it a little bit.
Yep.
And
And
then
I yeah.
and then she'd be able to start enjoying a little bit on the other side. And they do all kinds of things on the other side. If they really wanted to travel when they were alive and they didn't get that opportunity,
Really?
they're doing it on the other side. My
Oh, how nice
father-in-law
to
came through
know.
with his uncle, with his brother one time, and he's telling me that they're having a blast. The two of them are just fishing. So, I
Wow.
mean, they don't have a fishing pole. So what they do is they'll go somewhere where someone else is fishing, and they'll be right next to them, and they'll be cheering them on. Bring that sucker in.
Wow.
That's
Okay.
what they
So they're
do.
still enjoying, which is nice to hear. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they used to say, set another plate at the dinner table, and they'll come and join you for dinner, and they absolutely will. As soon as you say their name, they show up. As soon as you
Hmm.
say their name, they do not want to be forgotten. And I found that we reincarnate on the average about every 350 to 400 of our years, because time is different on the
Okay.
other side. The faster you move, the slower time is.
Okay. So
Okay. So
slower there than
yeah, it's
here.
like 1 year over there for 100 years for us. Okay.
I
It's a
see.
long, no, I'm
Okay.
sorry. It's 3.5 to 4 years here to 1 year of theirs. 3.5 to
Okay.
4 to 1 year there.
Okay.
But it's 350 to 400 years before they reincarnate again, because they want to make sure that everybody that they knew, cared
I
about,
see.
generations are gone. I mean, I have them come through sometimes, the people, and if somebody comes to see me and I want to talk to my mother or my grandmother or whatever,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
they come through, and as much as that person wants to talk to them, they've been wanting to talk to you a lot more. So they're coming
Yeah.
through, and
Yeah.
they're not interested in what you're asking. They want you to listen to them.
To
And a
them.
lot of them, it's all about the family recipes, the family picture books, all of that stuff. They want it all passed down. They don't want to, stuff to get lost or forgotten, that kind of stuff, which is interesting.
Wow. That
Because
is
when they come back, it's
interesting.
going to be a whole different family and a whole different whatever. So I
That
find it
is
very
interesting.
interesting that they're still so focused on the life that they had here for a long
And
time.
what's so weird, when you just said that, it just reminded me, I had this dream last night and my mom was there, and it was me asking her, you never showed me these recipes. You never, like, I never wrote them down. Nobody knows them. Like, yeah. Wow. That's so interesting. You just said that. It gave me a minute there. So I'm like, that's right. I was just asking her for the recipe last night in my dream. Huh. Yeah. That is amazing.
Yeah,
Very
that's what I find
intriguing.
very interesting, that they're still
Yeah.
so focused on everything happening here. Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
That's so reassuring, though. It is reassuring.
But they watch out for you as well.
I feel that.
Yeah, they
I
do that all
definitely
the
feel
time.
that.
Yeah.
Hmm. That is wonderful. Oh my goodness. This has been so enlightening and it's been a joy, really. So first let's talk about how people can reach out to you, because I'm sure we have sparked interest from all of our listeners. They love this. Most of them share my intrigue with this. So the best way, it seems, is with your website. Is that right?
Right. JuneEdward.com. No S,
So
JuneEdward.com.
JuneEdward.com. They can reach
Yep.
out to you there. Perfect. I know I did see there is a free webinar for them to watch or listen, which I haven't done yet, but I am going to. I highly recommend to listeners out there, listen up, ladies. I really loved the book that June has written, which is All's Fair in Love and Karma. It reads so smoothly. And it just reads so smoothly, and it's not like there's fluff. Every sentence has something interesting in it. I was really engaged.
Yeah, I've never been known for the fluff. I kind of like,
right?
There's just so much to get out there.
You just do. And it's like, you can't just like, oh, read a little. No, you're just like, wait a minute, that was important. I want to write that down. That was important. It's excellent. But you also have other books, just for everybody to know: Dancing with the Universe, A Night on the Other Side, which you've mentioned, and the Destiny Card Journal. That is fantastic. And then if they're interested, tell me a little more about the mastery program, how they would
when they sign up for the free webinar to learn a little bit more how energy works, if they're interested, they can schedule a call with me about the Relationship Mastery Program to see if they're a good fit for it.
Okay. Yeah. And then do you do readings for people as well?
I do readings. I read Akashic Records. I read Destiny Cards, which is numerology and astrology combined.
Okay.
They're extremely accurate. There's
really,
if you read about the Destiny Card Journal, it tells you about it. Yeah, they're ancient cards. It's what the Magi used to use to advise the royalty thousands of years ago. It's your regular deck of playing cards.
Really?
Yes,
oh, wow.
They are mystical cards, and the book to read that was held by the Knights Templar for thousands of years. Our Gregorian calendar is based off that deck of playing cards. 52 cards in the deck, 52 weeks in the year. They add up to 364. The Joker is a value of 1 1/4. There's your 365 days of the year in your leap year. You have 4 seasons. You have 4 suits. You have 13 moon cycles. You have 13 court cards. You have 12 cards in each suit. You have 12 months in each year. You have the red and the black that signify the day and the night. Yeah, they're amazing.
Oh my God, that just blew my mind. You're absolutely right. Wow. Okay. Yeah. So
very few people read those cards. I read those.
Really? And when you do a reading, is that in person, on the phone?
I'm in Florida, so if they're near me, that's fine. Otherwise, I work by phone. It's all energy, so it's the same whether you're here or you're there. Doesn't make a difference. No.
Okay. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much, June. This has been
very welcome.
An absolute delight. Okay. So if you want to reach out, you guys know how to do that. And thank you for being here.
Oh, thank you for having me.